Dragon Ball is a beloved franchise cherished by fans all over the world. It has the most iconic protagonist standing as the biggest figurehead in anime. But despite its global popularity, many, including myself, have grown increasingly annoyed with the direction the series has taken over the past decade. The recent announcement of Dragon Ball Daima, the first new TV series since 2018, has left a significant portion of the fanbase confused. Why this instead of the continuation of Super? Personally, I find this decision stupid, and it made me realize that modern Dragon Ball has been making questionable decisions for some time now. In today's video, I'll break down what's wrong with the current state of the franchise and offer up some solutions as to how they can make this franchise great again. Make sure to like and subscribe as it does help a lot, and yeah, without further ado, let's hop into it. One of the first main glaring issues in the current Dragon Ball landscape is their extreme hesitation to go past the end of Z. For those unaware, the last 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z have a 10-year time skip in between them to show that everyone's grown up. Then Dragon Ball Super came out in 2013 with the release of the Battle of Gods movie. After the movie was released, they decided to make Dragon Ball Super a TV show to explain what happens in between the 10-year time skip. Originally, I think this was a cool idea for sure, but there's only so many arcs people can watch before they want to see the future, not the past anymore, and this is where Daima comes in. Many people, including me, were curious if it even was canon to the main timeline, but after recently finding out some new information, apparently it's in the timeline after Z, but right before Super. Like, I can't be the only one that actually just can't stand them doing this. It's just gonna be some random adventure where we already know everyone's gonna be safe and sound by the end of it, because they're all safe in the beginning of Super. Dragon Ball desperately needs to start writing past the Z time skip as soon as possible. If we just keep diving back into the past, there are no stakes. The next big issue I feel Dragon Ball has is the fact that there are no stakes. Having stakes or tension in any form of media is what keeps people invested. For example, no one would ever buy tickets to a sports event if they already knew the outcome. That feeling of a mystery and not knowing is what TV shows need, especially if you are a shonen battle anime. Take, for example, Demon Slayer, JJK, Attack on Titan, Death Note, Hunter x Hunter, or many others. What do all of these shows have in common? If you die in the show, you stay dead. Other than a few exceptions. In Dragon Ball, the ability to bring people back to life with the Dragon Balls is in the back of everyone's mind. So whenever something like this happens, you know, okay, the worst case scenario, he gets revived. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, so if you want to get rid of that issue, just have the plot kill off Dende. Because if you didn't know, the Dragon Balls won't be active if its creator is dead. But that's only if you forget about Planet Namek, which has Purunga, and unlike Shenron, who can only revive someone once, he has the ability to revive someone as many times as need be. Even if Planet Earth and Namek were to explode, as we know from the manga, there are Namekians all over the universe that have created other Dragon Balls, like on Planet Cereal, for example. A good solution I can think of would be to like introduce some extremely evil villain who for some reason or another hates the Namekians or their power to create Dragon Balls, and have him go around and massacre every single Namekian in the universe, other than like Piccolo or something. So we solved it, right? Now tension and stakes will come back to Dragon Ball? Wrong. There are still 2 massive issues causing a lack of tension. 1 are the Super Dragon Balls, and 2 are the gods. Firstly, let's take a look at the Super Dragon Balls. These planet-sized orbs hold Super Shenron, a dragon with boundless abilities and can even restore whole universes erased by Zeno. Okay, frankly speaking, these things need to fucking go. They are an embarrassment to story writing as a whole. Some random villain smarter than Zamosu's dumbass could literally wish for a power greater than the Omni King, and the wish would actually be granted. Yeah, please just write these out of the story somehow. And finally, arguably the biggest thing that kills all tension in Dragon Ball is Goku's friendship with the gods. Although it's true that angels can't fight or take clear sides amongst mortals, in the Resurrection F movie, after Frieza blew up the planet, Whis literally turns back time to give Goku a do-over. Or in the Goku Black arc, when all hope is lost, Goku just whips out the Zeno button like he's fucking summoning Maharaga, and Zeno just deleted the entire timeline to end Black once and for all. Or when the Moro situation started to get too out of hand, Beerus was literally about to step in and end Moro once and for all. And the only reason he didn't help in the end is because the Grand Priest and Omni King summoned him. I think a very simple solution to this problem is have Beerus take another like multiple decade-long nap. If that happens, then Beerus and Whis would be written out of the story, which honestly isn't a perfect solution because a lot of people, including me, really enjoy these characters. And then maybe like have Goku's button revoked as punishment for him fucking up the timeline or something. If all these issues are addressed, tension and stakes will return to the story. Actually, let's pull a Whis and rewind for a second. Beerus was literally about to step in and end Moro once and for all. Wait, how the fuck does Beerus have any chance of beating Moro in a fight? I know. To a lot of people, the idea of power scaling is cringe. Like when people say, well, technically Gojo was moving in the prison realm, and the prison realm was a place without time, so technically Gojo has infinite speed. Yeah, shit like that is actually brain dead. There's no defending stuff like that. Although on a side note, I do enjoy power scaling because I do find it cool. But on a more serious note, proper power scaling is required in stories for it to make sense. Like take Harry Potter, for example. It wouldn't make logical sense for Harry in the first movie to be able to beat Voldemort in a 1v1. Or like it wouldn't make sense for Captain America to beat Superman in a fight. And that's where power scaling comes in. Overall, Dragon Ball Z didn't really have an issue most of the time. But holy shit. Super's power scaling is actually atrocious. To get a full grasp on how bad it is, let's take a look back to the beginning of Super. At this point, Super Saiyan 3 was more or less the pinnacle of strength in the Dragon Ball universe, an absurd power able to match the demon Majin Buu, a creature of pure evil incarnate, able to destroy whole galaxies hundreds of thousands of light years long in diameter in only a few seconds. Then Beerus spawns in and is able to flick away Goku and literally no diff him. Okay, they do the ritual and Goku becomes the first Super Saiyan God in thousands of years. Goku's new strength allows him to match Beerus in an epic fight. During the fight, Goku absorbs the God form into his base, which now means Goku's base form is many magnitudes stronger than his previous Super Saiyan 3 form. He trains more and more to obtain an even higher level of strength in the form of Super Saiyan Blue. So at this point in the story, Goku should be infinitely stronger than the other cast and side characters. Right? Nah, Gohan trains for like 3 days in the woods and is able to match Super Saiyan Blue. Huh? Like, I'm sorry, that makes actually no sense. And this is just one example. And don't even get me started on how a character that's weaker than grade 2 Super Saiyan 1 Vegeta is able to somehow get strong enough to fight Super Saiyan Blue Goku. What? I also remember the Tournament of Power when Dispo activated his light speed mode. Like, dog, they're past the speed of light already within like the first episodes of Z. It reminds me of when everyone bullied Gege for trying to jerk off Maki's speed by calling it Mach 3, as if characters weren't already magnitudes and leagues faster than that. He later even admitted that that was stupid himself. So we have Beerus, who is stated to have used around 70% of his power against Goku in the Battle of Gods movie, which was even stated by Whis when no one else was around, so this wasn't a lie. Which, if looked at logically, since Super Saiyan Blue is a 50 times multiplier to God, this version of Goku should be able to dog walk Beerus, right? Wrong. Enter Beerus, the god of the ever-changing goalpost. Nah, his strength is retconned to be massively stronger than Blue, which is honestly fine. If Goku was already able to farm Beerus this early in Super, it would be kind of weird. But then Goku gets his base much stronger throughout the series until he eventually can use Kaioken times 20 on top of his Super Saiyan Blue. So completely ignoring and not accounting for any Zenkai boost or training Goku's done since the beginning of Z, this Goku is bare minimum 1,000 times stronger than the Goku from the Battle of Gods movie. The final arc begins and we are introduced to Jiren, a creature stated to be stronger than all the gods of destruction in multiple promotional pieces and statements. Jiren faces off against a Goku easily over 1,000 times stronger than the Goku that could have destroyed the universe fighting Beerus from the shockwaves of their punches alone, and utterly no diffs him. As a Goku fan, this shit was tragic to watch. If Goku's Blue Kaioken is no match for Jiren, what hope does anyone else have? Eventually, Goku obtains Mastered Ultra Instinct, causing all the gods to stand and acknowledge his godlike power, whilst also pushing Jiren to the brink, who eventually awakens even more power within himself. Even with the new awakened Jiren that's much stronger than the gods of destruction at this point, Goku still comes out on top. So at this point, Goku is far stronger than Beerus, right? Yeah, once again, I just don't know because the manga keeps hinting that Beerus is still the superior fighter, which just doesn't make any sense at this point. When Moro pushed back an even stronger Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku, Beerus states that he'll lend a hand to help since he doesn't want to lose the earth, probably because of the food or some shit. He even states that he'll make it quick. Like, I'm sorry, but with all due respect, Moro should in all accounts be far above your pay grade, brother. But that's the problem. They just keep shifting Beerus' strength and it makes no sense. And later in the manga, we see Beast Gohan and Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku sparring. I don't think you're out of the blue, Gohan. I'll get to your monkey ass later. Beerus states, so Ultra Instinct's the best trick Goku has now, as if he's like disappointed. Like, I'm sorry, but by all accounts, Goku's Mastered Ultra Instinct should be league stronger than you, Beerus. Speaking of Gohan though, I'm sorry, but Gohan getting a little mad again at Piccolo maybe dying should not make him go from weaker than Super Saiyan Blue levels of strength to matching a much more refined and stronger MUI that beat Jiren. Also, I love the fact that he didn't snap at all like that when Moro put a hole through his actual father, but whatever. When Gohan snapped in the Cell games, he went from a little weaker than Goku's Super Saiyan 1 to about 2 to 3 times stronger than Goku with Super Saiyan 2. Beast Gohan's strength difference is literally thousands of times what it was before, which was just a straight up ass pull to make his character relevant again. Overall, the only way to fix all the power scaling issues in the manga is just to write better. That's the only advice I could give. Write better and write smarter, because these are only a few examples I chose that just have awful scaling, which makes the story make no sense. Like, they are just making characters stronger for no reason other than keeping them relevant in the story. Speaking of characters being relevant to the story, Dragon Ball Super really doesn't like giving screen time or development to any characters other than Goku and Vegeta. There was a terrible power creep in Super, making characters like Goku and Vegeta exponentially stronger than the other characters, making them more or less useless. The Tournaments of Power was like the first and only real time in Super the Nugget sidecast was actually able to do something, because they were able to fight the Nuggets from the other universes. But a lot of fan favorite characters are more or less useless throughout Super. Although I will give credit to the superhero movie, which gave massive power-ups to Gohan and Piccolo, making them relevant again. Although I do still think their power-ups were unearned ass pulls, at least it makes them relevant again. Two characters that have been badly hit with this style of writing are Goten and Trunks. I have never seen a more abused duo in a show than Dragon Ball Super. You have these two super prodigies that were the two youngest people of all time to go Super Saiyan, with even more latent potential than Gohan, yet in the entire series they've had nothing to do. It's so embarrassing because these two fused literally have the strength to overpower Majin Buu. But for the Tournament of Power, characters like Tien, Roshi, and Krillin were chosen over them. How are you letting characters like Tien get chosen over you? Genuinely, it could have been such a good opportunity for them to actually have some serious scenes for once, as the realization that trillions of lives are on the line. Literally all these two did in all of Super were given the grand honor of watching over Android 17's island while he was gone. In the manga though, they were given their own 3 little side chapters as teenagers to see what their daily lives were like, and God, it was brutal. Goten just felt like a quiet sidekick to Trunks and had literally no personality, and Trunks was too busy gushing over a middle-aged woman. In the end, they had a small fight with some of Dr. Hedo's creations, but nothing was ever a real threat to them, and they just kept doing their weird superhero LARP whilst goofing around. I think the story would have been much more entertaining if Dr. Hedo made some stronger androids and Goten and Trunks only barely made it out, so for once we could actually see them lock in and not be goofy. I want to see how these characters act when their lives are on the line and they're actually being serious. Now that I think about it, never once in the entirety of Dragon Ball do they ever allow these two to be serious. Goten literally watches as his mom is turned into a fucking egg and stomped out by Boo. And then when they fight him as Gotenks, they're literally trolling the whole time and eventually lose because they don't take it seriously. Like, you just watched your mother get turned into an egg and stomped out, and you're really not going to fight seriously at all still? Like, what? The reason they weren't chosen for the Tournament of Power in the first place was because they're too immature and goofy. Against Cell Max and in the sparring match versus Gohan, they literally try fusing and turn into a fat pile of blubber both times. Like, the writing team for Dragon Ball actually refused to let these two do anything. I do not understand why. Although I will still give the writing staff some credit, because recently in the manga they've at least been trying to give characters other than Goku and Vegeta more power, so they'll actually be useful to the plot. As mentioned before, they gave Gohan and Piccolo new powerful forms, so they won't be useless against a new villain. And they actually did go back to planet Vampa to get Broly like they said they would, and bring him to Beerus's planet, where we could actually see him train and learn to control his own monstrous power. So I actually do give them some credit, as they've created 3 characters at a high enough level of strength to actually be useful towards the plot. And although characters like Goten and Trunks, amongst some other characters, have gotten 0 development throughout Super, at least their characters didn't regress. There is nothing more frustrating than watching someone make the same mistakes over and over and over again. Like monkeys, have you learned nothing? The 2 biggest offenders of character aggression are Son Goku and Son Gohan. I'll start with Gohan first because he's less insulting. In the start of the Majin Buu arc, we see him face off against Dabura, who's relative in strength to Cell. Gohan defeated Cell at just 11 years old, but is currently weaker than he was back then from being lazy and not training. Keep in mind, this is Gohan at 18 years old now. I want you, yes, you watching this video right now, to imagine your 11-year-old self being able to beat your 18-year-old self up. Pathetic. So you think maybe he would learn from this and start his training again? Enter green tracksuit Gohan. Oh no. I know all the Gohan fans are sitting up in the chairs praying I don't discuss this. Gohan at 11 years old was surging with power, embarrassing a villain able to completely destroy the solar system in one shot. This Gohan is violently anorexic and is struggling against the default Frieza Force minions. Okay, after this insane embarrassment, he must have finally learned his lesson, right? Oh lord, he's out of breath just running over to say goodbye to future Trunks. Okay, wrap it up. He's cooked. Now we turn our attention to the biggest offender of this issue. Goku in Super regressed in almost every way possible. Yeah, they changed some of his character development and regressed some aspects of his character that he for sure should have learned by now, like being too trusting and not being able to close the deal to save his life. But that's not even what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the regression of Goku's brain cells. Like, yeah, in Z, he was dumb, but in Super, he's like genuinely mentally impaired. When Goku is fighting Botamo, Vegeta tells him to use his head, and this is what he does.
Oh, okay.
He literally struggles with second grade math.
He runs into 3 friends and gives them all 2 loaves each, because he's obviously a nice guy.
Somehow doesn't understand he's fighting Beerus in a Manaka costume, even though Yamcha accidentally spills the beans. Bro still doesn't get it. The infamous scene of Goku not knowing what kissing is, even though he's married with 2 children and has literally kissed her before.
I'll miss you, Chi-Chi.
And my personal favorite moment at the Zeno Expo, the gods agree that if Bergama wins the fight against Goku, they will cancel the Tournaments of Power, therefore saving trillions upon trillions of lives.
If he wins this match, no universe will be destroyed for losing the Tournament of Power.
I'll give this fight all I've got.
What's wrong with him? Does he even know what's happening?
Beerus' delivery of that line fucking cracks me up every time. Like, genuinely, what is going through bro's head? But those were just stupid moments that didn't really cause any harm to Goku as a character. It just makes him look brain dead. But these last 2 dumb things he said are just next level. In the superhero movie, he questions Vegeta meditating, saying that he's just being lazy and there's no way that's real training. Like, I'm sorry, there's no way the people writing this have ever watched any form of Dragon Ball. Goku has been constantly meditating throughout the entirety of the Dragon Ball series. Goku's an elite master level martial artist. I don't know why the people running Dragon Ball are trying so hard to downplay his knowledge and experience. And then the second thing he did that was stupid was in the very last chapter. Piccolo mentions that he and Gohan have to pick up Pan from her school. You know, his one and only granddaughter, Pan? Bro, even Vegeta was like, you absolute primate. There's no way you forgot your own granddaughter. They go to pick her up from school, and this absolute gorilla could not look more uninterested if he tried. I'm sorry. This shit is so funny. Like, bro forgot he even had a granddaughter, and then when he went to pick her up, he can't even pretend to be interested. And you know what else I can't pretend to be interested in anymore? The amount of forms in Super is absurd. I've heard a lot of people in the community talk about form fatigue, and honestly, I don't blame them. We got Super Saiyan God, Blue, Golden Frieza, Super Saiyan Rage, Rose, Blue Kaioken, Blue Evolution, Omen, MUI, Ultra Ego, True Ultra Instinct, Black Frieza, Beast Gohan, Orange Piccolo, Yellowish Piccolo, etc, etc. Listen, I'm not saying I hate all these forms. I think UI and Ultra Ego are cool and badass, but on the other hand, it's like enough. When you introduce a new form every 2 episodes, all it does is kill the hype behind older forms and make previous forms obsolete. Like, take Super Saiyan God, for example. When it was shown in the Battle of Gods movie, it was a cool, new styled form. Many people were excited to see Super Saiyan God in future adventures for Goku. Then in the very next movie, that form becomes irrelevant again because now we have Blue. Like, why even release God at that point? And don't even get me started with the original Super Saiyan forms. One of the most iconic, cherished forms get thrown to the side because of the power creep, which just essentially makes these older forms useless. And with the release of Black Frieza being able to literally one-shot True Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, God only knows what new rainbow-colored forms they'll need to achieve to even stand up to him. I think they need to focus more on honing their new God techniques rather than getting new ones. It wouldn't narratively even make sense for Goku to get a stronger form than MUI. It's literally the technique of the angels, the strongest beings in the universe. I think it would be most healthy for the show for MUI and Ultra Ego to be Goku and Vegeta's final forms that they just keep honing until the series ends. There are probably some other narrative issues I could bring up, but I feel like I've hit all the main points, so there's no reason to keep beating a dead horse. So with everything I've stated, does that mean I hate Dragon Ball? No, honestly, it's quite the opposite. Dragon Ball Super was the first anime I've ever watched, and ever since seeing episode 110, I've become a lifelong fan. And here's where modern Dragon Ball's biggest issue appears: the fact that there isn't more of it. That may sound counterintuitive based on the previous 18 minutes, but I love Dragon Ball, and I am so annoyed with the people running the franchise. You have this multi-billion-dollar IP, a show that if you put back on the air is guaranteed to make you so much money, and they just fucking refuse to make the show for some reason. It's so frustrating. Like, I promise 99.9% of Dragon Ball fans want Super to come back, not whatever this is. And it's a shame too, because from the trailer, Daima looks like it's animated so well. Like, take all of that animation budget and effort and put it towards Super. You have all of these great moments from the manga. Mastered Ultra Instinct versus Moro, Goku's fucking Susanoo, Ultra Ego versus Granola, True UI, finally some more backstory for Bardock, Black Frieza, and many other great moments. But no, wouldn't you rather see Vegeta get Super Saiyan 3 finally? Like, no, I don't care. I want to see MUI Goku and UE Vegeta fight side by side. And that's the main reason I'm making this video. As flawed as Dragon Ball is in its current state, this show still has millions upon millions of fans awaiting its return. And I know me and many others just do not understand why we're getting this instead of Super. Overall though, I've said my piece. If you guys are still here after all this time, I really appreciate you. Drop a like and subscribe, as I really want to pursue YouTube full time. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
What's wrong with him? Does he even know what's happening?